welcome back.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back.
Episode 21.
It's pretty crazy.
Legal.
We're legal.
Legal to drink.
Yeah, it's cool. Thank you for hanging out with us for 21 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny because when we started, I like the first couple episodes were just like such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh my God, they have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. And now it's like,
And I just remember watching the first couple episodes like over and over and over again and being
right.
like, okay, I need to do things different.
Right.
As I'm told, the only thing that matters is how my voice sounds in the microphone.
Yeah.
21 episodes in, still haven't learned it.
Still figuring it out.
I'm trying really hard. I have to speak just so into the microphone to where it doesn't fuck up. It's not the easiest.
Yeah.
But it has been fun. It has been fun to be able to talk to people about it and have friends comment on it and, you know, tell me they've listened. You know, my hairdresser listens, which is really cool.
Right.
Having people talk about stories that we've talked about. I'm like, forget that I've...
Well, it's funny too, because like we did, I think it was like 16 episodes in a row before we missed because we were getting the electricity put, and then we missed a couple weeks, which we're not apologizing for because because hey, we just get busy. But when we were debating whether or not we were going to miss that first time, we were like, it's just like the gym, because like once you do it and you miss that one time, then you're like,
Yeah, you've tasted the sweet nectar.
I'm
You've
the
tasted that
worst because, like,
sweetness.
you know, you go to the gym and then you got a good streak, or even anything like you're doing like Duolingo or something, and then you get to that point and you're like, I'm doing so well, I'm going to do this forever, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I didn't do it. Oh shit, and then you're like 6 months later, you're like, oh damn it. But yeah, you know, I was thinking the other day. One of the things, because I'm a twin, and like I'll watch movies. Like I hate the Harry Potter lady because, you know, for obvious reasons. I'm not going to get into it. But like I still watch the Harry Potter movies. I still do the audiobooks because I like the story or whatever. And then I like having something I don't have to pay attention to, especially audiobook. Comforting. If I'm driving to work, I something's happening, but I'm not having to pay attention. And I always hate when they kill off twins, you know, in movies, because they just have another one. You know what I mean? Like, I hate it. And no spoilers, you know, hey, if you haven't watched all the Harry Potter movies, skip forward a little bit. But like, I hate when there's twins and then they just kill one. And they're like, well, at least you got one that looks like both. Ha ha ha. But I find it very irritating because it's like you have two separate people. But there's always, if there's twins in a movie, they always kill one of them.
And then you just have the sad memory of one twin with the other.
And like, for me, I'm like, that sucks. Because it's like, yes, you look the same, but you're two different people. But as the audience, we go like, phew, okay, well, we got one person that looks like both, so I guess that's okay.
Yikes.
I always find it really irritating. Is every movie with twins in it, like one gets killed. Allegedly, yeah. But yeah, and then I was thinking back to like just being a twin, just kind of how weird it is because you have somebody with you your whole life. Unless you're one of the twins that get separated at birth, which I also don't agree with. I don't agree with this like separating twins shit that people do. It's wild. They separate twins all the time. And like, there's stories.
Oh my God, I'm interrupting you because this girl just came out recently and she said that she switched hundreds of fucking babies. This lady was a nurse and she said on her deathbed that she switched hundreds of babies in the hospital, bitch. Hundreds of babies.
Dang.
Boop.
That's crazy.
A boop, bitch. She took one baby and she would fucking switch that shit. And how are you supposed to know? You would never know. How are you going to know? You'd never know.
Dang.
Hundreds of babies, bitch. Because you say separating twins.
Yeah.
And I remember watching whatever series about twins that were separated that met up later in life that didn't know that they were, you know.
No, like they'll live in the same city. They'll have like the same
mannerisms.
route, and they'll do the same. They'll get coffee. It's crazy. But it's also really sad because as a twin, you always have a connection to another person. You can't explain it. I guess you could try to explain it. But like you have this bond with this person.
Of course.
And so these twins will grow up feeling like they're missing something. And it's just really sad because I mean, like, how could you take two kids and be like, well, here's one to there and one to there. That's fine. Like, just completely ridiculous. But I do find it weird because like I'll forget something and then Kevin will go like, oh no, it was this. And I'm like, oh yeah, it was that. But like, who else has that other person around when I was like, do you remember when we were 8 and we did this thing? And he's like, oh yeah. And usually I have the good memory, but every so often he'll remember some shit. And I'm like, wow, damn, I totally forgot about that.
That's crazy. I just recently watched 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh yeah.
That's the first time I've ever seen it.
I don't even know if I've seen it in a long time.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
I'm the first person, again, if you're just tuning in and you found us magically on 21, I am fucking weird and I don't watch things when they're popular.
Us on 21.
Yeah, this is the 21st episode.
I was like,
the 21st
I was like, is this a new app that I don't have yet? Everyone's on the app 21 now.
Yeah, TikTok's over. It's all about 21. If you're just now joining us, I'm fucking weird and I don't watch TV series from start to finish. I'll jump in at random moment and finish it out and then go back and rewatch it.
Still disgusting.
Or it could be like the series where I just never acknowledged that it ended. Like The 100, I got to the season finale. Never watched the finale. So then in my head, it's still going. It's no one died or anything crazy.
So there's, I don't know if I brought this up before, but there's the show Parks and Rec, and which I love. I was watching it on Netflix and they have, I want to say it's like 6 seasons or something. So Netflix only had like to season 5, did all the episodes up until then. They had another season that had dropped on TV, but hadn't been put on Netflix. And so I watched it all the way until the end of the season. And at the very end of the season, they're like, they get in an elevator or whatever. And they're like, all right, we're on our next adventure or whatever. They all, whatever, got promotions or whatever the fuck. And so I was like, oh, so good. Like, I just thought that was it. Like,
right. That was the crowning moment.
And so then like, and I had rewatched the season like 4 times, 5 times. And all of a sudden, it starts playing them getting out of the elevator. And I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening right now? And they started, and then it started playing the other season.
Did you think you were in a fever dream?
I couldn't believe what was happening. I was like, did I will this into existence? Am I dreaming right now? Because I just assumed that was it. I was like, well, and I heard that the show ended and I just was like, well, that's it. I'm late to the party. That's it. La la. It's a pretty good ending. And they have a whole nother season. And I was like, this is fucking insane.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And it was like, because you always go like, oh, I wish, like, what happened when they get out of the elevator? Like, what,
That's kind of how I am with Rick and Morty. I refuse to watch the new episodes. I refuse because at some point, they're going to stop making them.
No, they said they're going to keep making them forever.
Bitch, cute.
I saw,
Don't believe
this was an interview they had like a couple weeks back. Yeah, and they just said, we can just continue to make these forever.
Great. That sounds great.
We'll see.
I am not a fucking believer in that.
Yeah.
I've had too many good things taken from me in my life. There's a kid I work with and he asked me if I'd seen the new season of Rick and Morty and I told him no, that I'd barely even watched any of the 5th season because I'm too scared. I'm going to watch it and love it and that's it. And there's going to be no newness, nothing new.
Yeah, that's always tough. And like, I love Seinfeld. I watch Seinfeld all the time and they ended at season 9 and I'm like, oh, I wish they would have just done one more. But they get to a point where they just got to kind of call it.
Yeah.
Because then you do an extra season and it sucks and everyone's like,
So my tattoo on the back of my arm, the jar of eyeballs, if you can see this, for those of you who are listening to the podcast, sorry. Find me on Instagram if you want to see my tattoos.
Right.
The jar of eyeballs is from Gravity Falls and which is funny because they say it's in the same universe as Rick and Morty. There's a couple different parodies. The 2 guys who are like friends, which I thought was crazy because I have my Rick and Morty tattoo and then I have Gravity Falls. Didn't know they were best friends until I was sitting on the couch watching this thing and it was like 12 similarities between Gravity Falls. And they talked about how the best friend or the 2 creators are best friends. And I was like, what the fuck? That blew my mind. So Gravity Falls, he was really intentional. If you haven't seen it, it was on Disney. It's fucking scary. Let's be real. He was very intentional with doing 2 seasons and only 2 seasons because he wanted it to have a story arc and then end. And he didn't want it to peter out. He didn't want it to be anything where they're just churning out episodes just because. And because of that, like, I love it. Gravity Falls is one of the best shows. I would say Gravity Falls, Rick and Morty, and Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah,
Like
we talked
you
about
have
that.
to fucking watch those
Avatar
shows.
is so good. Yeah. Man, I need to rewatch Avatar.
It's great.
I need a good background doing work show.
Yeah,
that I don't have to
Avatar's
pay attention
great.
to.
Love
Yeah.
it. But it's the same thing. So I really appreciate going back and watching things new for the first time,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I watched 10 Things I Hate About You. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good, and it was like a cute little love story, and very much reminded me of like Mean Girls, because I'm obviously that's that 10 Things I Hate About You is a little predates me.
Right.
But it was cute to watch that, and it was kind of that love story, and it was like, you know, guys getting paid to take out the popular girl so the sister can go on a date, because the movie starts and everyone wants to date the younger sister. Everyone wants to date the young girl. She's cute and smart, and no one wants to date the older sister because she's a realist.
Yeah.
Everyone calls her a heinous bitch in the movie. But that's what the movie's about. And, you know, it's 10 Things I Hate About You. It's just, it was so good. And
I'll have to check it out again. It's been a while since I've seen it.
good classic.
Heath Ledger.
It was, I think that was the driving force to want to watch it and saw it. And it was just such a cool movie. And too, it's like, you know, you can be sad, but I watch her in that leading role and I'm like, wow, what a fucking cool experience that would have been to basically have him play a character that falls in love with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And what a great actor. So if you haven't seen 10 Things I Hate About You, any of the Batman movies, any of Heath Ledger's movies are fucking fantastic. Good night.
I was watching The Dark Knight earlier. It's just such a good movie. And it's funny too, because like everyone's like, oh, they can't top Heath Ledger's Joker. You know, he did so good. And I think he did a phenomenal job. I mean, like, but everyone shit all over him when he got picked. It's hilarious. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know. Oh, this guy, 10 Things About You, from A Knight's Tale. And like, he probably did one of the best Jokers
Ever.
like, top tier.
Ever. So much to where people say they don't want to touch it.
Right.
They don't want to touch it. It just needs to kind of
The new
have his
Batman had a
legacy.
good Joker kind of cameo. Jared Leto's Joker, I think, would have been decent if they would have kept him in the movie.
Yeah.
So they did a bunch of reshoots, and I guess him and Harley he was supposed to be like beating her up and like pushing her out of a helicopter, and it was supposed to be kind of this abusive relationship thing. And they did a bunch of reshoots because when the trailer dropped, everyone's loved it, but they edited it together where like it felt like it was a different movie, and they were like, oh, we should make the movie more like this because it's more fun. Because she like hits a baseball bat into a window and grabs a purse, and everyone's like, ha, oh, so good. So they're like, oh shit, everyone likes this. Let's not have her getting beat the fuck up and pushed out of helicopter, whatever.
Right. They made it more be about her being a star instead of her being a victim. But that's
how Harley Quinn is.
And that's not how the cartoons were.
She gets beat up and she's in love with him, and she continues to go back, and then eventually she's like, yeah, I'm good on my own. But yeah, they did a bunch of reshoots, and man, that movie was not great. But they cut out a lot of Jared Leto's Joker, and so everyone's like, oh, he did a bad job. But like, I think he did a good job. We just didn't get to see it.
Correct.
And it's just like when the original like prequel Star Wars. Sometimes the directors don't give you enough time to act, you know? So everyone's like hating on Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman or whatever. But like everything's green screened and everything is like, we're going to do this shot. Okay, stop. Okay, we're going to do this shot again. Okay, stop. And then this and then stop. And so it's hard sometimes for these people to even like get into character
or
and
find
act.
a fluidity because they're continuing to stop and go and stop and go.
And then there's all this green screen around. You got to make up everything. Now, Quentin Tarantino, on the other hand, will legit be like, you guys are talking for 15 minutes. One camera. And they're just doing all the dialogue. Like Death Proof, there's a scene. And they're just literally at this table talking for like 15 minutes. It's insane. But that's his style. That's what he
but I
wants.
mean, that's like all the Kill Bill movies, man. Like, Kill Bill is such a good series. Good.
they're so
it's
good.
just so good.
We like to shit all over movies, but there's a lot that goes into them.
A lot that we don't see.
A lot that you don't see. And there's all these different like, you know, merchandising and all, you know, this team and that team. And then for foreign audiences and all these different people. That's why all the James Bond people are like, yo, I would never fucking want to do these movies again, because everybody's got their hand in it and going like, oh, hey, well, we would like to make this toy. So can you put this car in? Or, oh, we don't like this. So can you do this instead? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then they just do reshoots and reshoots. I'm just over prequels. like Game of Thrones prequel, like Lord of the Rings prequel, like all these prequels. It's like, I hate watching some shit that happened before the shit. I just make something new.
Correct.
Like I just, and they just
fresh.
They have Andor, which just came out on Disney, which I watched it. It's not bad, but like a lot of it is like, oopsies, sorry, we got rid of these people or whatever. This happened, and let's try to shoehorn in some stories because we didn't realize you guys would like the character as much as you did. So here you go.
Yikes.
It's just always kind of weird. So Alexa and I were talking about like new hires at work or starting new jobs and stuff. And I remember Kevin and I had got jobs and we needed to go drug test. We were like, I want to say we were like 16.
Yeah,
They started working
young.
us early. And I remember we both had to go get drug tested and we had to do pee tests. And my mom drove us to this like hospital place to get pee tests. And and so we didn't know like what we were doing. And I remember my mom was like, you can't flush the toilet because you could be flushing drugs down the toilet. So when you go in there, you can't flush the toilet. And then she was like telling me all these things that you like couldn't do. And like the pee had to be a certain temperatures and all this stuff. So like and this is the first drug, like pee test I've ever had to do. So Kevin, my brother, goes in and he does his and it's fine. And then I'm sitting in the lobby of this hospital, whatever. And then I go in the other room and I'm pee shy, kind of. And so if I don't have to pee really, really bad, it's hard for me to pee on demand. And especially if I know people like are waiting for me or can hear me or whatever. I worked at a call center and like anytime I go pee, if anyone like walked in, my bladder would be like off and be like, fuck. So I go sit down, wait till I have to pee really bad. Then I'd go back and pee. And
That doesn't sound healthy.
Developed a complex because like anytime anyone would come in, like I would just like stop peeing. And I've gotten better, but I still struggle with it.
Right. I was going to say, I wonder if it's hereditary because I'm a little pee shy after I sleep with someone. And so like my Pete Davidson and I were laughing because there was one time I was in the bathroom and I was like, I'm doing it. Yay, look at me go. Because even though I'm in my apartment, bedroom doors closed, my bathroom doors closed, I'll turn water on just to kind of just chill. And it's very much like just relax. And then therefore you can't pee because you're just like, ugh.
Yeah. For me, it's like anxiety, of like, if I have to pee under pressure and I don't have to go really, really bad, like I can't. So they call me into this room and they're basically like, okay, you're going to go in here, you're going to pee. You have to fill it up to here. And then when you're done, just bring it out or whatever. So I go in this room, lock the door, and it's like a big bathroom, but like a hospital bathroom. And so I'm like in there and I can't pee. And I'm trying and I'm like giving myself a migraine because I'm like, I can't, like my head hurts. I'm like, I can't get any pee to come out. And then I realize it's probably because I have to poop.
Okay.
And I don't know the phenomenon of why, like, somehow that pressure, that anal pressure, is keeping you from...
So distracting, you can't pee.
Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is. So
with the floodgates?
Yeah. Why it doesn't work. So my mom had told me, like, you can't go pee in the toilet. You can't do anything in the toilet because they'll think that, you could have been flushing a pee bag or whatever in the toilet, right?
Okay. This makes a little more sense to me now. So basically, they don't want you doing anything in the toilet because they don't want you flushing fake pee or a container if you have a bladder on you that's got fake piss.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I'm caught up.
And now they didn't say any of this when I went in there. And so now I have a dilemma, right? So what do? Do I shit in the toilet and then pee and then walk out and be like, hi, I pooped in the toilet.
Can I flush it?
I flush it? And then I don't want him to have to go like, let me check, or the toilet doesn't even flush. You know what I mean? Like
it's like a Home Depot.
You know what I mean?
It's like a Home Depot toilet someone pooped in.
And And so now I'm like starting to kind of panic because I don't know what, and I've already entertained the idea of I might have to shit. And so that's already getting it ready to come into the station.
Yes, it's brewing.
And so oh my God. I'm just like telling the entire planet. And so and so I shit in the trash can. So
now, okay. My next question is, was it? Well, I guess this is different because
I'm crying again.
in girls' bathrooms, because we have like tampons, sanitary napkins, we have like garbages in next to the toilet.
No,
did you like poop
girl.
in the little thing that's got this thing in it?
Yes, kind of. So it was a tall white R2D2 trash can with the little flappy. And I shit in the trash can.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yes. So I shit in this trash can.
With the little swinging door.
With the swinging door. And then I like put in as many like paper towels as I could just to kind of like cover it up or whatever.
But what you didn't realize was then they go in and check the garbage after you leave to make sure you didn't throw anything away.
She just gets her hands in there. Let me just check in here.
They do a hand jiggle, tap, tap, tap. You got a little poop bracelet.
I'm still embarrassed. I mean, not really that embarrassed. I mean, this was like 20 years ago. But
so
yeah.
what happened? So did you go out and you gave him your pee?
Yeah, basically. So I shit in a trash can, and it's not like, it wasn't like I wasn't even bent over because it's tall, right? So I'm like almost like on tiptoes trying to get into the trash can, you know? And so I
couldn't just take the lid off?
I don't think the lid came off.
Bitch,
I don't remember.
How are they getting the trash out?
I don't know.
It's going to have a lid.
I don't know if I took the lid off. Well, and I think it was like I didn't want to make a lot of noise. You know what I mean? Because then what? Now they're like, I'm all clanging around in there, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just
excuse me, son. Are you okay in there?"
And so, and it wasn't. And then the not to be too graphic, but it wasn't like a log turd either. It was like pudding. So I wiped, and then I put as many towels and things on top of it that I could. And then I was able to pee. And then I gave them the sample and I went in the car and they were like, "How was it?" And I was like, "I had to shit in a trash can." And my mom was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, you told me I couldn't use the toilet. And she was like, she's like, "You could take a shit in the toilet." Oh, and I was just like, I was so freaked out that they weren't going to let me work at this job because.
Okay, and we should also preference it was our parents' work. So I'm sure there was a lot of pressure that like you didn't pass, so you couldn't work at like the family place.
For real though. So
I'm confused. So mom said that you could poop in the toilet, but you just weren't allowed to flush it?
I don't know. She freaked me out that she was like, "You can't flush the toilet at all." But then like...
Or she may have alluded to the fact if you do flush, they could maybe think that she said it on a whim.
I think that they were like, she made it sound like if you flush the toilet, then like, that's it. Like, or they have to come check it or something. And so I was like, well, I don't want him walking in here and just this big ass turd in the toilet. And then I'm like,
that's no worse than you going into the bathroom at the mall. If someone pooped, you just fucking flush it and you're like, all right, I got to do what I got to do.
I know, but like this was me at like 16.
Your child brain rationalized tippy-toeing your booty hole into this garbage can. And I can't even fucking imagine that you didn't take the lid off and set the lid down. How are they taking the garbage out of the garbage, Ryan?
I think at the time, it was a ticking clock anyway.
Yes.
It was like a panic
You're already
room.
in overtime.
I was in one of like an escape room, and I'm already in there enough time as it is. You know what I mean?
Suspicious.
Yeah. And then I had to shit, and then I like knew I had to shit. So then I'm like, well, should I go in here? And I was so freaked out that I was like, I guess I'll shit in the trash can because like that's a
amazing.
thing. And then yeah, I just remember my mom and Kevin were just like, it was just so funny because it was like the same thing. They were just like, you could have shit, and I like, well, they didn't tell me. I didn't get any briefing. Like Kevin got this whole story of like, use the toilet, you can flush. They gave him the whole spiel. They did not give me a spiel. I was like, I was just scared that they were going to be like, oh, you can't, now looking back, I mean, duh, it's not a big deal, but like.
Well, and it's funny too, because as a boy, you got your little stick and you can just pee in the cup.
Right.
As a girl, when you go fucking piss, you're pissing on your hand.
Yeah.
When you're a girl and you're peeing, for the visual, you got the cup and you got to hold it 2 fingers underneath with one, because you got to have the mobility to get it under, and you could go booty hole, you could go through the back, and you could go like behind to piss like this. Or as I've found, it's like you're like splitting the toilet and then you've got the cup. And what they say as a girl is you got to pee. I don't know. I hope I was not told wrong. But like as I was told, you're supposed to pee for like a second to pee to start. And then you put the cup under to get.
Well, it depends. So if you're like I just went and did a chlamydia, gonorrhea one, and they need the first little bit of pee that comes out for the STD tests. That's how they can tell. Apparently, is that first. They used to do the Q-tip in the pee hole.
Oh my God! What if I have all these diseases? And
yeah, and you just have to be
like,
pissing
pee
wrong.
3 seconds and then put the cup
Yeah.
under. But that's how it is. Pregnancy tests are similar, but you have to like hold it there for a while. You got to like get peed on a little bit.
This was funny because when I just did my pee test, while I was peeing, I was looking at what women have to do, and it was like spread the lips and wipe with an alcohol wipe or whatever, and then piss. And I'm like, man, that is so much work.
Not
as
really,
a woman,
but yeah.
But I was like,
It's no different. I like wonder how you walk around with your gun and out of the holster all fucking day.
I mean,
Just
it's
got
like
like a
half,
little-
probably like partially depending
just
on
like
how
this.
cold. Yeah.
It's just like like we talked about the last episode, being in the concert. You're just kind of wiggling
just
around.
go with the flow. Now it's funny because there was this app, and it was what was it called? It was called like Secret or something. And I remember I put that story on there because you could just put whatever story. And
and people would plus or minus, right?
kind
People would
of,
either
yeah.
thumbs it
People
up or
would just
thumbs it
you
down.
didn't know
Yep, I
who it
remember
was,
that.
and I remember I posted on there, and people were just like dying, and like nobody knew it was me
Yeah.
because I just was like one time I
Anonymous.
shit in a trash can when I was getting a drug test. Yeah, it's just so funny thinking back on it. It's so long ago. Next time you get a pee test, make sure you're getting clear instructions on.
Yeah, and ask if you need the beginning pee, the end pee, because as a girl, they tell you you're supposed to start and then put the cup under.
Maybe. But I don't
Who
know.
knows?
It's,
Who
I think for the STDs and stuff, I think it's because they need whatever is like in there just goes out right away.
It's the sediment
It's like
that
it's like when
lands
you
at
do the
bottom.
ketchup and all the water comes out first. Like that's what they need in the pee pee.
I fucking hate it, man. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed me pooping into a trash can 20
Fuck,
years
that's
ago.
funny.
Yeah.
Good
And
night.
I just think about the person who had to go change that.
I'm curious if Debbie at the fucking counter who didn't give you the briefing went into like, go like make sure, and she put her hand in the garbage and then she got a little
Why
pudding
does
all
it
over her
smell like
hand.
shit in here?
Yeah, like it would be just so like it's just.
Or like whoever had to empty the trash is
It
like,
was more
why is there?
suspect. Yes, it's more suspect that you shit in the fucking garbage than just pooping and going, "Ooh, I pooped. Sorry, I did
I
a
had to
natural
poop,
body
I
function."
swear. I didn't have a Ziploc baggie of piss with me. But yeah.
Yeah, all of that stuff is really crazy. Like, or in Oregon, obviously weed is legal.
Right.
If you're listening to us and you're not from a state where weed is legal, like Oregon, weed is legal. However, if you do anything federal, work for a bank, anything, you still have to piss test.
Yeah.
You know, so do your research.
Everything's just kind of weird when you're younger. And I feel like it's interesting because I think your scope of the world is like so narrow that you kind of compute everything and you gauge everything like based off of what you know, and your surroundings.
Right. And when you're younger, you think you know everything too.
Yeah. My friend Dave and I don't remember what we were doing. We were like getting really drunk or whatever. And we were like, let's look at Google Maps and do street view of like our old neighborhoods. And we took each other on like Google Maps street tour of like where we used to live. And I was like, man, this shit looks wild. And it used to be like such a big deal.
You know, you can go back in time on Google Street
Really?
View. Yeah.
How?
My Pete Davidson and I, you can change when they went through and did their rounds. So like he showed me his college in Humboldt and you could see his car parked out front with the sticker in front.
Oh,
it was very, very crazy. So we looked at our old house that we grew up on,
Right.
like all of the old things. It was really, really crazy.
I'll have to do that. Yeah, because I've been seeing people that like have all the different like times, and I'm like, how'd you do that? But yeah, we would like showed each other like where we went to school, where like our old houses and stuff, and it's really interesting. And I always recommend like to live somewhere else than where you went to high school.
Yeah,
you go to college somewhere else, go live somewhere else. I know it sounds really scary, but like get out of your hometown and experience the world elsewhere. It's like when we lived in Oklahoma, we graduated high school and then we moved to Oklahoma, and there were people there that had never seen an ocean before.
Right.
Never been out of the state.
Our, my third grade class when we were in Oklahoma, you guys brought us ocean water. When Dad and Kevin went to the ocean, when they came to visit, they brought me back a huge mason jar with a piece of driftwood. Oh, wow. And I got to have ocean water in my class in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And everyone was like, oh my God, this is so special. And the teacher was like, this is so cool. I'm the only teacher here that's ever had. It was a big fucking deal. People have never seen the ocean before. It is crazy.
Yeah, and it's weird because like people will like try to give you life advice, and it's like, I'm sorry, bitch. You've never seen the ocean. Fuck you. You've never been on a mountain. You've never been out of the state. And I think that that's what makes like places like New York and when you get this kind of melting pot of all these different cultures and people, your perception is better. So people that just live in America, we're like, America's great. But like when we've traveled and gone to like France and Germany and the United Kingdom, it's crazy, especially when you're somewhere where like people don't speak English or whatever language you speak. It's just insane. And like when we went to London, France, Germany, and back to London for a little bit. And like when we got back to the United Kingdom, they all speak differently over there. But it was so like, oh my God, like I can read the signs. I can hear what people are saying. But people in America, we just think we're so good. Oh my God, we're just the best. And we're just born here. And oh my God, we're just so much cooler. And like, in reality, we barely speak one language.
Correct.
We're just tricked into thinking we have it so good here. But you go to like Spain and they're like, oh, I speak 4 languages and I travel and I've been to all these different countries, all these different friends in different areas.
And then you're upset because the person ordering coffee from you, English is not their fucking first language, and you're upset because they don't know how to order their coffee correctly.
Like, they're speaking 2 languages.
That's the one thing. I'm so passionate because my birth name is fucking spelled so terribly that like it's just been such a challenge my whole life, and it's always been butchered, and I'm happy to go by Lex. It's easy. I appreciate it. If you're close to me, and I think my Pete Davidson first, middle, and last named me one time. Like I got my legal name from him, and I was like, it was really crazy because I said I was off the cuff.
Right.
And he gave me the first, middle, last name, and it was like the hair stood up on the back of my neck because I don't think I've been full named, legal name since like mom was alive. Like I got first, middle, last name, like Missy.
Right.
And I was like, who the fuck do you think you are calling me by my legal name, you little hoe ass?
That's funny.
Our Japanese grandma's name was Shizuko.
Right.
And she would tell us that, you know, I remember being a kid looking at her mail. And I'm like, who's Sherry? And she's like, that's my American name. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because Americans are idiots. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, that's my dumb American name because Americans don't know how to pronounce Shizuko.
Right.
And it's only now that I'm an adult that I'm like, oh, damn. Like, people can't pronounce Alexa. Right. So I like going by Lex, but at the same time, so when I'm at my job and I'm having, you know, authentic conversation with someone and it's an Asian woman, she tells me her name is Dawn, like, or, you know, Sue.
Right.
And I look at them and they're like, actually, my name is, you know, Shizuko. And you're like, thank you. I want to make sure that I value who you are as a person. It's not hard to spell someone's name.
Well, and I saw a meme and it was like, if you can remember Daenerys Targaryen, you can remember how to, you know, pronounce somebody's name correctly. And we're just like, oh, we possibly can't learn another culture's name or say it. We had a couple people at my job, and apparently we've been saying their names incorrectly, slightly. But, you know, when I asked him about it, he's like, yeah, it's just, you know, this is how white people say it, and I haven't corrected anybody. And so I think it's nice, you know, depending on the job, depending on people. But I think a lot of people want to know the right way. But I think a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, your name's too hard. Can I just call you this? And they're like, no. You know what I mean? Or
absolutely not. Uzo Aduba talked about how her mom had a long conversation with her when she was a kid about how her name was special and that, it, you know, people can learn how to say and pronounce her name if we can pronounce all of these famous, you know, classical musicians and things like that. So hearing that story when she accepted this award was really cool and helped me fall in love with my name more. But at the same time, nothing really takes away when, you know, a guy tells you, oh, your name's Alexa. I was screaming your name last night. When I was bartending. Hey, I'm Alexa if you need anything. Oh, Alexa, I got one of those. I was screaming your name last night. And I literally grabbed his beer, dumped it out in front of him, and I said, tell all your fucking friends Alexa kicked you out.
Dang.
Yeah. And he was like, and I said, get the fuck out of my bar. And he was like, well, we just got here. And I go, and this was always if you're a bartender out there, I said, I've already asked you once nicely. You don't want to talk to the big scary guy in the back. There is no big scary guy in the back. There's never a big scary guy in the back.
There
but
could be.
Better believe that they got their fucking asses up and left. I said, tell all your fucking friends Alexa bought your drinks. Get the fuck out of my bar.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm not having it. That was so inappropriate. And I tell people that all the time. The one thing was, if you are an Alexa out there, I think we should all band together and sue Amazon. Sorry. I think we should. There are people who are actually trying to have lawsuits for like defamation of character because these girls who are in middle school are just getting fucking teased mercilessly. And I just feel so bad. But if you're an Alexa, the thing was, I met a girl named Alexa when I was bartending at the same place. And she told me that she actually tells people that she tells people that she met the guy who created it. I'm the Alexa. And I was like, bitch, that's so fucking good. And she's like, yeah. And she goes, then you can kind of be annoyed about it because you're not collecting royalties on anything. Right. And why would I want to talk about my ex-boyfriend? I'm the Alexa. At that same bar, I told it to a couple people and they I swear on everything, called their friends at home to tell them they had met the Alexa.
Dang.
I'm sitting at this bar right now. I met the Alexa. No, like her ex works for Amazon and is the one who made. No, it's her. I swear. Like it was fucking hilarious. And you're in too deep to where you can't really like take it back. So, you feel like a fucking idiot. Then me have to eat that. So.
But yeah, I mean, if you have like the similar name to a famous person, you'll never not hear that. Mm-hmm. If your name happened to be Justin Timberlake. I mean, how are you going to exist without people being like, oh, hey, like, just
cry me a river.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Or, on the other end, like when Tony Hawk meets people, like his Twitter and Instagram are hilarious because they'll be like, Tony Hawk, huh? And you're like, yep. Like the famous skateboarder? And like, yep. And you're like, wonder what he's doing. He's like, that's me.
Yeah,
his
that's
stuff
the
is
best.
because people don't like.
Correct.
They
People
hear
don't know
the
it's him.
name, but then they see it and they don't make the connection that it's actually him.
Right.
So I find it to be quite hilarious. But
kid I went to high school with, dad would on the regular buy beer for Tony Hawk when he wasn't old enough to buy beer back in the day.
Who is this?
A kid I went to high school with, his dad.
Yeah.
His dad talked about like when they, knew him, and he very, very on the regular would buy beer for Tony Hawk before he was obviously like huge.
Right,
so
right.
that was a cool claim to fame, especially I'm sure for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cute.
It's like,
so
yeah, if you meet somebody with a famous sounding name or similar, I'm sure they've heard of it. I'm sure they've heard all the things.
Just stop, mate. It's the same thing as when we talked about gender and things like that. It ain't none of your fucking business. Stop making these dumb jokes.
Right.
Like I met a girl named Brie. Every Brie is tired of hearing you fucking like the cheese. Like, just don't make the dumb jokes. They've already heard it. Those jokes aren't funny.
Yeah, it's not great, and it's just, I don't know. Do the right thing and just shut your mouth. Zip it. Yeah. Well, we learned a lot today. I hope.
Did we?
Yeah. I finally got to tell my trash can doo-doo story.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Your tiptoe butthole in the trash can story.
That's out there now for the world forever. If I'm running for president now, this would be a great time to bring this story up. All you loyal listeners. Yeah,
if anything for presidency, it would just show that you're a rule abider.
Yeah,
you were not allowed to flush that toilet. So Ryan will go to the ends of the fucking depth of the world for you and not shit in the toilet because he was not supposed to flush it. All right. He would make a great presidente.
Yeah, for real. What else did we talk about? We talked about names. Try to be respectful. You ask questions, make sure you're pronouncing it right. Try to be understanding different cultures. You look up on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel that I always go to when I need help pronouncing different names. And they do just like hundreds of different names, how to pronounce them. So if it's like an interesting Indian name or like director like Taika Waititi, like I didn't know how to pronounce his name and I was just kind of going along with it, being like, and so I was like, well, let me just look on the internet and see.
It's important. I'm very passionate about inclusivity, and I remember working with a guy who came as a motivational speaker, and his name was Gian, and he talked about how when people pronounce his name, like how his mom or his grandma would say his name, it sounds like a hug.
Oh.
And like if you can give someone that hug by just honoring their name,
right,
pronouncing their name, asking people how to spell their name,
right,
like, that shit fucking matters.
Yeah.
It matters
to
people's identity. It's very fucking important.
Well, that's like their name. Like that's what they go by, and so the fact that like other cultures have to kind of just compromise because Americans are just so fucking stupid and unwilling to just, go that extra mile. We're just like, we're from America and we just say words and who cares what happens? Sorry. It just sucks. And I think we need to take that time to just be understanding of different cultures, different foods, different backgrounds, all that stuff. It does not take much, to appreciate somebody's name, say it correctly.
Absolutely.
Correct people, if
correct someone. I think that's another thing too, is like when I'm talking to my best friend, the Pisces, on the phone, and she's like, my nails are too long. And I'm like, tell them. And she's like, I can't. And I'm like, I'll tell them. Like, I'll talk loud enough so they know your nails are too long. Like, that person's doing you a service. They want it, it's easy. I think we build all these things up to be these huge things in our head. And in reality, you can be like, hey, can you make my nails a little shorter? Hey, actually, it's Alexa. That's how you pronounce my name. Shit like that.
Greg's last name
scary.
Always gets butchered by every time we check into a hotel. They just try to get his last name, and he's like, you just go by Greg. It's fine. But like every time they just try to get it and they can't, and it's funny. But also, like,
we're very fortunate. We have a very easy last name. Yeah. I'm not going to say it because I don't need y'all motherfuckers looking me up like that. But
right. But yeah, sometimes it's too easy. And
my Pete Davidson has a Norwegian name, and it's all kinds of Scrabble letters jumbled up and things. And I was like, do you want to have my last name because it's easy? And he's like, yeah, my fucking parents would not be down for that. We had a good laugh about that. But a lot of girls take their last name as their middle name.
Oh.
But at this point, like...
Yeah, if you're already taking those loads, you might as well. What's the last name?
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Oh, do you have to clap?
Oh, yes. Ooh.
That was a good one.